For me, it was just so sad.
Our memories of December 8th, 1980 will always be vivid. That was the day that the unimaginable occurred. A crazy fan named Mark Chapman killed John Lennon in cold blood. Just as people were getting ready for Christmas, Lennon had just wrapped up a recording session and was returning to his New York flat at the Dakota. John had signed an autograph for Chapman earlier that day, and the former Beatle legend was waiting for him when Chapman shot him in the back. Drag, isn't it? When a reporter first asked Paul McCartney his thoughts on the death of his longtime songwriting collaborator and childhood friend John Lennon, McCartney responded in this way. People were anticipating a less casual response, considering the duo's joint musicianship altered popular culture. In fact, as soon as the Beatles' fans learned that McCartney's former partner had been killed, they attacked him for being relatively cruel. However, Paul was obviously distraught and at that point was unable to make sense of what had transpired. When Paul and Linda McCartney were questioned by Playboy magazine in 1984, Paul talked candidly about his immediate response to the startling event. What's to be said about John's situation? The suffering is indescribable. It's impossible to put into words, no matter how well-spoken you are. We simply returned home. We spent the entire evening sobbing while watching all the news on television with the children. Paul responded, I just finished a whole day in shock and I said, it's a drag, when asked to elaborate on his drag comment. I intended to say, it's a drag, in the strongest possible way. However, when you read that in paper, it does state, yes, it's a drag, as a matter of fact. In 2022, Paul talked about the days following John's passing on the radio station Sirius XM. He acknowledged the deep sadness he was feeling, stating, I couldn't really talk about it. It was really hard when John passed away, McCartney said to interviewer Tom Frangione. He was such a lovable figure and such a quirky guy, so it was hard for everyone in the globe. He was very unique. I remember getting home from the studio. On the day that we'd heard the news he died and turning the TV on and seeing people say, well, John Lennon was this and what he was this. It seemed as though I couldn't possibly be one of those individuals. He clarified, I can't just go on TV and tell what John means to me. It was simply too profound. It's simply excessive. I was at a loss for words. Paul described how he found a makeshift studio and just sat on the wooden floor in a corner with my guitar and just started to play the opening chords after the emotions had sort of settled a little bit when writing the 1982 hit song Here Today, which was a tribute to his relationship with John Lennon. He continued by talking about the song's allusions, adding, the night we cried, that was to do with a time when we were in Key West down in Florida, and for some reason, I think it was like a hurricane. We hunkered down at a little motel as we couldn't play for a few days due to a delay. What then would we do? We would therefore have a drink and become inebriated. He went on, we got drunk and kind of got emotional. There was a lot of introspection along the route to that. We opened up to each other after sharing a few truths with each other, such as, well, I love you, man, and I love that you said that. McCartney remarked, so that was kind of special to me. I think that was really one of the only times that ever happened.